Syracuse Police say they are struggling to keep up with a rise in break-ins this year. Short staffing means they are having to prioritize calls they believe are active emergencies, leaving the victims of property crime stranded for hours. And some business owners are frustrated, feeling they're on their own when something like this happens. Over the weekend, someone was caught on a security camera trying to multiple times break into a business in Armory Square using a brick. The owner of Flintstone Cannabis Company says this happened early Friday morning and again on Sunday. He's frustrated with the slow response from the Syracuse Police Department, who say they are too short-staffed to properly handle an uptick in crime. CBS 5's Connor White joins us live in Syracuse tonight with the details. Connor?
Amanda, this red mark here on the front door is where he first threw a brick, clearly didn't make it in. He tried again at the window here with another red mark. A covering on the window kept it from shattering. And while he didn't get inside here, not every business on this block was as lucky. Not once, but twice early Friday morning and again early Sunday. This person appeared to try to use a brick to break into Flintstone Cannabis Company downtown.
He threw a brick right through here.
Owner Mike Flynn says police have been slow to respond.
Their exact words were, if I'm not shot or stabbed, it's not an emergency.
Syracuse police say they're struggling with staffing, telling us this summer they have over 40 officer vacancies. The spokesperson says that a burglary not actively in progress is considered a priority 2 call, which effectively means it's put on the back burner.
This building is just like one of my children to me, you know what I mean? This is a huge project, a huge part of my life, and yeah, for me, this is an emergency.
Flynn says he's not the only one who got hit this weekend. He says someone got into margaritas, leaving with a few $100s from the register, costing the restaurant thousands in property damage. Kasai owner Kyle Mastropietro says they tried doing the same across the street at his restaurant, damaging the door but not getting inside.
I just got to replace the door deadbolt. It's just a little loose now. So could have been much worse.
Syracuse police data shows break-ins are up 48% citywide this year. The worst of it is in the north and southeast districts of the city. Downtown, there were 3 total break-ins prior to the events of this past weekend.
I don't think it's happening more. I'm from Philadelphia, so it's a lot safer here than where I come from. So I think all in all, we have it pretty good down here.
Business owners here near Armory Square say in general they feel safe. They feel that insurance that they have covering the store, the fact that they don't generally leave valuables inside overnight, and their alarms and security camera systems act as deterrents. Still, Flynn here at Flintstone says that some of them have talked about hiring a neighborhood watch style security force to be out and about to try to keep people from breaking in.
We're taking a close look tonight at safety concerns inside the Dome during Elton John's concert Saturday night. Good evening, I'm Matt Mulcahy.
And I'm Megan Coleman. More than 35,000 fans packed into the Dome, and getting in was a nightmare for many concert goers, packed in like sardines in the concourse, trying to get their seats for the show. This is just a glimpse of what it looked like inside the Dome just before 8 o'clock Saturday night. Many fans trying to move in opposite directions, leading to a gridlock. And many are raising concerns over what would happen if there was an emergency there.
Our Jonathan Singh's been looking into this all day. Joins us with more information tonight. John.
Matt and Megan, the Syracuse Police Department telling me that their staff was fully equipped on Saturday night inside the Dome for the Elton John concert. However, most of that staff was dedicated to keeping Elton John safe, which is a big reason why the concourse was left unsupervised, and we saw that big crowd surge before it started. This was the scene inside the concourse in the JMA Wireless Dome before the Elton John concert on Saturday night. It was a mess that had people packed tightly together for about 15 to 20 minutes.
If anything happened, we were just stuck there. You fire, anything. Like, there's no getting out of there. It's just, you'd have to climb over people.
Not all the gates were open for the night, and part of the concourse had to be shut down to get Elton John to the stage. Syracuse police say they were fully staffed for the concert and that more officers were brought into the Dome to protect the performer.
More than enough police than we had in a long time there, so we definitely had enough officers, which was super important in getting the performer to the stage and being able to temporarily close off parts of that concourse.
Crowd surging in the Dome has happened before. This was the concourse in 2019 during the Syracuse-Clemson football game. Syracuse police say that months of preparation went into the planning for the Elton John concert, but ultimately it cannot be practiced or rehearsed with the same amount of people.
Moving 35,000 people into a venue and out, in and out, that's a heavy lift. But between fire, police, security, all the Dome staff up there, we got it done.
Meanwhile, the chief facilities officer at Syracuse University, Pete Salas, said this: the Elton John concert, like so many other events at the Dome, was incredibly well attended. We always encourage patrons to come as early as possible. We do experience periods of time when there are a lot of people moving throughout the concourse at once. There is also significant interest in purchasing concert merchandise, which resulted in long lines. We plan to move merchandise outside for future events. As for the crowd knowing what to do during an emergency, Syracuse Police say safety presentations are available to watch. The next big event in the Dome is Saturday when SU football hosts Purdue at noon. The crowd is expected to be bigger than normal, with the Orange starting the season 2-0. We spoke to Dino Babers about Saturday's madness. He says he hopes the Dome can figure it out before the weekend starts.
Pete Sala and those guys, the ones that handle that stuff, that they're going to do a fantastic job with that. And if it was something that happened Saturday, I'm sure that was a happening. It's not going to be the norm because they normally do a fantastic job with that stuff.
Thank you, Peter. We have continuing coverage tonight on Syracuse nonprofit Vera House.
It's been more than a month since we first reported the agency knowingly hired a registered level 2 sex offender to work with victims of sexual and domestic abuse.
The State Office of Victim Services has ordered the nonprofit pay back at least $64,000 used to fund Marcus Jackson's role with the agency. The outcome of the Federal Office of the Inspector General's investigation will determine if Vera House loses over $1.1 million. Vera House says they are cooperating with the investigation. Now, our investigative reporter, Mary Keeler, has more tonight.
A former employee who used to supervise shelters and programming for Vera House in Syracuse is giving us new insight as calls for accountability within the organization continue. It's been over a month since our reporting started on the Syracuse nonprofit and their decision to knowingly hire a registered level 2 sex offender to work as a victim advocate. Since August, we've seen a shift in leadership as longtime leader Randy Bregman announced her resignation, making her co-executive director Angela Douglas the sole director of the organization. This as a federal investigation is underway after Vera House admitted former employee Marcus Jackson did have contact with underage victims at least twice, something Bregman told us initially was not allowed to happen. Vera House has canceled their annual New Beginnings Gala this year, which has raised hundreds of thousands of dollars over the last 3 decades. Meantime, prominent leaders in the community are calling this hire a mistake, and former employees like Dottie Baracco Hetnar are recalling the rigorous standards for people who wanted to start working at Vera House.
When people would come into Vera House, employed in Vera House, or even board members, and especially volunteers, the process of educating and training them was a pretty long, good process. Meeting with people, interviewing them, and providing them with this intensive training. And I question if that's happening. I don't know what kind of training Angela or Marcus or anybody else who was invited to be a part of Vera House, what kind of training they got.
Dottie Baracco Hetnar says since she left the organization in 2017, it seems to her that the organization has lost its way when it comes to its original mission of helping victims and survivors. She says she believes change needs to come to all of leadership from outside of the nonprofit.